and you are watching another edition of Blewetts Blitz. 5 more weeks, or 4 more weeks, kind of 5 though, because I still got to do some film stuff in this show. Call it 4.5 more weeks of what's been going on this season. Just beyond brutal, man. It just feels like the Jets kind of wiped away the positivity that they had us feeling the last few weeks, right? Like, you compete with the Pats for the most part. You compete with the Ravens for the most part. You beat the Falcons. You beat the Bengals. You beat the Browns. And it feels like you're at least heading in the right direction, where you're starting to look like a mediocre team in the NFL. And then you get absolutely mollywopped, man. What was it, 34-10, 21-0 within the first 8 minutes of the game before you can blink twice. It's 30. It's, they have 21 points and the game is already over. So dreadful from so many levels in this game. Obviously Tyrod went out. He didn't look good before he went out anyway. He hasn't been good this entire season. He's definitely degressed. So you had that, you had Cook, who started off cold. He rebounded a little bit late. Obviously 2 bad picks by him. The fade ball was pretty terrible. And then the other ball in the red zone as well was underthrown. We should have led AD Mitchell to the back of the end zone. So not great from him. Not bad though either. There was actually some impressive throws from Cook. So I can't kill him. Just got to the backup quarterback spot this week, just a few days before the game. Probably got no starter reps, and then is thrusted in there very early on into his football career as a UDFA. So I can't kill him. Offense, it is what it is. You have the drops. Mason Taylor had 2 or 3 drops. I'm not going to kill him because he's been a guy who's been very consistent, very good for rookie tight end this year. Brees didn't look great. AD Mitchell had a few bad adjustments to the ball, a drop. But the story is really not in the offense. Like, if you told me, hey, Garrett Wilson's out, your 3rd string UDFA quarterback is in, I'm not expecting a ton there. But the defense was just abysmal on every level. You had Briggs made a play or 2. You had Phillips made a play or 2. AZ Thomas made a play or 2. Past that, it was awful. Sherwood was horrific. Quincy was horrific. JJ didn't show up. He's getting blocked by tight ends at times. Will McDonald didn't show up at all in this game. He's been way too absent for way too often. I don't know if you even extend the 5th-year option to him at this point. You need a D-end, and it's not even I was kind of saying it's a secondary need. It might be a primary need now, because I don't know if you hold on to Will McDonald, after his 4th year, and JJ has a 5th year already, but I'm not sure JJ is even a long-term guy. Like, I think he probably is, and he's coming off the Achilles, so we can't kill him, but has not looked great this year in general. But my main gripe, one, Oliver at safety he is horrific player. But Quincy and Sherwood are so hard to watch. Go on my Twitter, JoRB31, been putting up plenty of plays there of how bad the defense was, and a lot of it's the linebackers. The short review this week is also going to be of just why Wilk should be fired, and how he's putting these guys out of positions, and the blown defensive coverages and all that stuff. Just so bad. I'm so excited to have the season be over. We can start talking about quarterbacks and free agents and doing film reviews on those guys and break down the draft picks, etc. I got 18 reviews of Jets players cooking, mostly the young guys, AZ Thomas and all of those type of guys. So brutal. That was a game that really set the Jets back, and it makes you feel like every win they got in the last few weeks was meaningless, and they just kind of started back from square one. So at this point, we'll see. The Jets are 7th pick overall in the draft. They're I believe double-digit underdogs to the Jags this week. They're fighting for the AFC South. So you're assuming they're going to want to win that game. They probably will. You got the Bills, probably not a win there. They're fighting for a seeding in the playoffs, or just the playoffs in general. Pats are fighting for the 1 seed and potentially a bye, so not going to win that game either. It's the Saints. The Saints game may be huge. That might be the Jets picking 6th or 7th, and the Jets picking 3 or 4. And I was okay with the wins, and if they win, it is what it is. Like, again, you want your coaches to show competence, because if they're not competent, it doesn't matter who they draft anyway. But at this point, you root for competitive losses. That's where I've been for a little bit. They injected some energy into me, like, okay, win all the games, who cares? But at this point, realistically, what do these? Well, realistically, I guess a win in a double-digit underdog game would be something good for the coaching staff. But we'll see, man. It sucks. This really that was a hard watch. 21-0. What? How long into the game did it take? Legitimately, I don't know. 7 minutes, 8 minutes. They're getting gashed in the run game, getting gashed in the passing game. You'd think you'd adjust to, hey, the Dolphins like to run a lot of misdirection, a lot of play action. Stay at home, read your keys. Nope. Learn nothing from the first game. Let Brady cook. Yeah, he had some good plays at the end. The two picks were bad. Ball behind Mason Taylor, ball behind A.D. Mitchell. But you had the John Mechie drop, who I was talking about. And I said to you guys right off the jump, like, chill on him. Like, a lot of his yards were manufactured, and the hands were not good with the Texans. So we got to relax a little bit, and you have to hope he's a 4. But he went from like fighting to be a number 4 to fighting for a roster spot. If he's going to drop 2-3 balls a game when he's targeted, then he can't be rostered. So he needs to bounce back, because if he keeps playing like he has the last 2 weeks, I wouldn't even tender him at that point. So he drops 2 wide open touchdowns, back-to-back weeks. Man. But yeah, Brady Cook, like, listen, I can't kill him. The fade ball was awful. That was way too far inside. That was horrific. And then the underthrow on the vertical in the red zone to AD wasn't great either. But overall, like, there was some really nice anticipation throws from him. So for his first game as UDFA, thrusting into that position, you have to have realistic expectations. And it is what it is, right? Linebackers play is the number one issue for me. It's the linebackers and the safeties. But yeah, the linebackers, man, just the amount of blown coverages from Sherwood was gotten moved more in the run game in this game, and not like the pass game wasn't so bad. But specifically in coverage, Quincy and Maui Noah were so bad in this game. I think Maui Noah is a guy who, okay, next year, if he's your 3, your 4, your 5, okay. Like, I'm okay with that. Obviously he's a fifth round rookie. We can't have the highest expectations for him in year 1. I would see a clean slate at starters. Like, you eat money with Sherwood. I can't watch this guy play anymore. He's really, really bad. And Quincy, the terrible angles, terrible reads, out of position consistently the entire game. He was really bad. And I think Quincy has been overrated by Jets fans for quite a while, because he'll make that big splash play, a sack, a tackle for loss, something like that. But when guys are beating coverage, like broadcast angle, when you have a crosser who's wide open and it goes for 15 yards, people don't really know who to attribute the blame to. And you go back, and I watch, and whoever else watches the film, like, oh, it's Quincy. But the people who just watch the broadcast aren't going to be convinced of that. Like, not convinced, but they don't have that information at times. So they see the splash plays and they're like, oh, he's a good player, or, maybe overrate him. But realistically, he has always been bad in coverage. And he's even volatile in the run game. So not a guy I'm looking to extend. And if you could somehow figure out how to get rid of Sherwood, I would do it, man. I would do it. I can't with Sherwood either. He's too light. He's a safety playing linebacker, and it's evident. For a safety, you think he'd be better in coverage, but he's also awful in coverage as well. He doesn't do anything in the run game, really. He's a good tackler. That's about all he has. He's very long arms. He's very hard to get away from when he's in your range. Past that, what does he do positively? He was too light to take on blocks. He can't cover. So, yeah, he's a good tackler. Fine. Cool. Awesome. Tank for Ty. Joe Blewett, the GOAT. It's ETT, but I appreciate you anyway. Tank for Ty. I just actually watched the Simpsons last game against Georgia, and I watched Mendoza's last game against Ohio State. And I think Simpson's getting a little bit too much heat for that game, honestly. Like, there was 3 or 4 plays with Simpson. You had a couple of inaccuracies. The one play where he threw that pick, it was the right idea of trying to throw it into that window. He was trying to throw it behind the receiver, because there was a linebacker in the window, and I think a safety dropping down, and he was trying to put it behind to fit it into the window. The problem with that play is he took an extra hitch. And taking that extra hitch, it just didn't work with the timing of the play. So if he was more confident in himself and just threw it initially when he looked at it, instead of taking the extra hitch, it's a really, really good play. He missed, 2 or 3 other balls that were inaccurate, which, okay. Not ideal, but his accuracy is never been like it's really good at times, but it can waver. And then there was probably another 2 or 3 plays where he just needs to take the first option. Sometimes there are some times where he looks for a little bit too much. Instead of like 1st and 10, there's a 5-yard hitch route and it's open. Just throw it instead of passing it off and trying to go for more and then running and throwing the ball out of bounds or taking a sack or whatever it may be. But with that being said, he had that deep out or comeback that was dropped by. I forget who was dropped by, maybe number 1. He had a deep ball on a crease concept, I believe, where the receiver stopped running for it, and the receiver continued to run for that ball. It was a dot. It was the receiver's fault 100% why it wasn't a completion. And then there was another 2 or 3 plays where receivers dropped it, and you have a guy who's getting consistently pressured in that game. You have a guy whose receivers are dropping balls. So like, yeah, not the best game from Simpson, but it's not a game I watch him and I'm like, oh my God, he's horrific. Like, yeah, some of the, again, skipping open guys and the inaccuracy problems make it go from, what you want in a good game to just an okay game or maybe even below average game. But to act like he was horrific in that game is also a leap. So I just watched it. Look, where's that one? Hold on, let me show you that one play of okay. I have 100. I already have over 100 plays of him. So this is going to be a 2 or 3 part, 2 or 3 part review of him. I meant to put slows down. Yeah. But receiver slows down. Did I record that late? Did I have to go back and recut that? I do. What an idiot. My fault. I didn't cut that right. But inside read, right? Covered up by the linebacker. You have, actually, hold on. Let me just play it a little bit more. Yeah, you have the safety who drops down on that. So now he sees, okay, safety dropping down on this. You have the outside corner matching that. But the receiver stops running. If you watch the receiver, just watch the receiver. He stops running there. If he continues that, you're talking about a touchdown. So like the little things that people aren't gonna pick up, like that is not his fault. The receiver just straight up just stops here. Let me take your comment off the screen. Again, watch the receiver. And I gotta go back and re-record this, I guess, because what an asshole. But you watch him. Why does he slow down? So like these things are like, oh, the stats, he didn't play good. Like, yeah, fine, he didn't play great, but how can you blame him for that? How can you blame him for drops? So it is what it is. It is what it is. Mendoza obviously had a good game there. He wasn't perfect in that game either. I watched Mendoza after he played Purdue, and the Purdue game, he was pretty bad. Like there was not one play where I was like, oh my God, good game or good play. 2 touchdowns. One was a screen that in the NFL might have actually been picked because of how the DB broke on it poorly at collegiate level. And then the 1 touchdown was a severe underthrow, severe underthrow. And I'm not even saying, like, I'm not trying to shit on him. I think that saying Mendoza is clearly the number 1 and we could trade up for him, but nobody's even considering Simpson is pretty wild at this point. Let me see if I can find that play just to show you guys, like, hey, you have to evaluate how exactly it happens. Underthrown deep ball. Is that it? No, that's not it. Let me find the Mendoza play. No, Penn State. Misthrown move. Deep ball touchdown. Is this one it? No, that one's not it. Hold on. Let me find it and I'll get back into the chat. I just want to partially prove a point. Like, let's just chill on just scouting guys by if they win the game, did they, whatever it may be. Okay. Purdue. Yes, Purdue. Missed throw on run, near interception, bad underthrow. Yeah, bad underthrow, but it was a TD. So it's a play that, like, oh, by fans, hey, awesome play, but this is a severe underthrow. So you have a smash fade. Okay, so he's going to read this, and this receiver is wide open. Okay, this receiver is as open as it gets. You got to lead him and put this ball outside. Look how much this receiver has to slow down for this ball. Catch, and then it's yak. So, like, in terms of the process versus results, is this a good play or a bad play? Tell me if this is a good play or a bad play. It's a bad throw. He gets lucky that the receiver catches it and then breaks a billion tackles for a touchdown. So it's just like, I see games like this from him. I'm like, oh my, like, yeah, I like him, but acts like he's a surefire one, no doubt about it. And there's no contention, I think, is wild as well. So just proving a point there. Yeah. Rosen should be the starter. Okay. I'm sure. Which, by the way, I have until about 4:05. I just recorded my short review. I just started the long review. I got this stream. I got Jake's stream. We're actually be looking at Mendoza versus Ohio State, and we'll get a little bit into shitting on the Jets because they need to be shit on. Sure, straight cheeks. He is. He's awful. He's really, really awful. Babyface Jay. For as bad as the Jets have been, we are pick 7. That's truly crazy. Just like the year, where that year where Lawrence came out, even if they didn't beat the Rams or the Browns are the second one, right? If they didn't beat them, I think they still would have been the second pick. I believe the situation. I could be wrong. Don't rely on that information. Double check. But I think even if they won one, they would have been the number 2 pick. So you're talking about even that year. Like, generational quarterback. Generational is way too overused by everybody now. But, in that situation, obviously you wanted him. And even with 1 win, we wouldn't have had him. So, yeah, the Jets, 3 wins, we're pick 7. But listen, you don't want injuries or anything like that, but Colts are going to be a much higher pick. And we'll see what happens the rest of the year. I think the Jets only really have 1 winnable game left. And obviously it's the NFL. You can win any game, but I don't see them winning potentially 1 more game. You're on the road against the Saints. Tyler Show, or whatever his name is. How do you pronounce it? Show, has been playing decently well. So, competitive loss might do really well for the Jets in that game, So Drew T, it makes sense. They saw Mendoza play the night before and decided season's over. Yeah, I said on Twitter. Like, they must have checked. They must have watched the Big Ten championship. Seems Mendoza contests number 1 after Ohio State win more 2 if he declares, which he should. And Simpson has fallen out of favor completely with the bad past month. Yeah, I just talked about that. Before this game this weekend, I actually had it Simpson 1 more 2, Mendoza 3, because the Purdue game was bad from Mendoza. Go back and watch every throw. He had 2 or 3 impressive scrambles in that game, but there was not one throw where I was like, oh my God, this is an amazing throw. And like, if you look at his situation versus, and people just assume like Ty Simpson, Alabama, so he has the most help in the world. Look at all the drops he has. Look at all the pressures he's getting. It's not like it's cake for Ty Simpson. I think if you put Mendoza in Simpson's situation, he struggles more than he does with Indiana, or he struggles more, Mendoza is more consistent and stuff, but he has much less wow plays. So like, it just, I don't know. I'm not saying he's falling out of favor because he's still my 1 before these games. And like, I think they're all pretty on a pretty even playing field, but I think the discourse around Simpson has been pretty wild. Again, go watch Mendoza versus Purdue. Go watch his first 2 games of the season and tell me how thrilled you are. So like, yeah, Simpson's not been great recently, but what happens if he bounces back in the next 2 or 3 games, whatever it's going to be? So do not be a victim of like the, what's that term? Don't be like victims of the present or whatever. I don't know exactly what that terminology is, but relax on Simpson. That's all I'll say. If we lose that, we're guaranteed a top 5 pick, and as long as more comes out, we can get 1 at our pick and use less capital, trade up. Yeah, that's the point, right? Like, yeah, sure, a win against the Saints would be like good for the culture, but what does it really do? Carrying it next year, I don't think it really does much for anything. So I'd rather lose that game and go from pick, let's say 6-4 or 6-3 because of that loss, than having to trade up an extra 2nd round pick because of a meaningless win against the Saints. So, at this point, it's really just competitive losses. They got me hyped up a little bit. They're playing more competitively, competing with the Ravens and the Pats. But this showing against the Dolphins wipes out all of that. It does. Lou B, appreciate the super chat, my guy. Do you think it was a mistake to just have all young guys, and maybe go with more vets next year, keeping a few of the younger proven guys? I don't think it was a mistake to go with a lot of the young guys, because why bring in veterans who aren't going to be here when it actually matters in 2 or 3 years, So I don't think it's a mistake to go with the young guys. You see what you have, all that stuff. And the Jets have to evaluate, listen, the coaching staff comes in, they have to evaluate the guys they bring in, but also the entire roster. So it makes sense to not have to evaluate veterans, and because, they're not meaningless, but meaningless towards the future. So evaluate, a bunch of young guys who are going to be here in the future. next year, considering the fact that you're going to most likely bring in a rookie quarterback, start stacking the team. Like they should have good knowledge of their young guys now. Obviously you prefer to build young, but if you could plug in a few spots with, vets who could be here for a couple of years and be worthwhile players, then because like it's also capital too, right? Because like, we'd all love to be 27 and under and stuff, but you're going to pay those guys more. So you have to fill some spots with some vets. I know a lot of people have been talking about like Alex Anzalone, guys like that, signed him to a 2-year deal. He could hold the fort down at linebacker for a year or two, maybe 3 for the Jets. So you start to supplement now with vets. The Jets, I think, are relatively close on offense. I think you add a receiver or two, a depth tight end, interior starting offensive lineman, and obviously a quarterback. I think they could be a solid offense. The defense needs 2 safeties, a D end, a D tackle, a linebacker or 2. So the defense is farther away. But realistically, like I think people overstate or over exaggerate how bad the roster is and how far the Jets are away, because realistically last year, and I think the Commanders made a mistake going like all in with vets this year, but the Commanders last year before the season, they were supposed to be a top 5 pick. They hit on quarterback and they were in the conference championship game. So it's a lot about quarterback. So I think the Jets next year, let's say they get Mendoza more, and let's just say they're average level quarterbacks with the $100 million in cap space and all the capital the Jets have in the draft. If you told me, and I'm not predicting this, if you told me the Jets win 9-10 games next year because the rookie's good, that's not crazy to say when the Commanders were supposed to be a top 5 pick and went to the conference championship game. So, so next year I'll start to supplement with some vets, not high priced vets, but like spot filler vets. Yeah, no doubt. I would. I don't think it was a mistake to go with rookies though. They weren't winning this year regardless, So, but I appreciate the super chat, Lou. Mendoza had an awesome game, winning drive a few weeks ago too. He looks legit. I like him. I don't love him. Like, I'm not selling the farm to get any one of these quarterbacks. You're talking about like, the Jets have to trade, 3 firsts to get him, and 3 firsts, but technically like 2 extra to get him. I'm not doing it. You can convince me for maybe an extra first. I personally wouldn't. If the Jets do it, fine. But there's limitations there. There are limitations. He can lock onto his first read at times. I think the arm strength is average. Throwing on the move and off platform, he can struggle with that. So I think he's capped a little bit. So if he was as like smart and cerebral and all that stuff as he is, but he also had more physical upside, then sell the farm. But I think he could maybe sniff being a top 8-10 player in the league. That's about his ceiling, which, hey, for Jets fans, obviously we'll take it. But I would be willing to sell more if he had a higher ceiling. But I think people can also overlook his situation, and like Alabama's running the ball and not getting any yards. Receivers are dropping balls. Mendoza's getting chunk gains in the run game, and receivers are catching everything contested. So you have to be fair to these guys. You have to be fair to it. It's not just production and wins. Can you talk about how different this year and last year is for Sherwood? Why is he playing so bad? Last year he's asking more East and West stuff, and Glenn wants a little bit more like North and South and filling gaps and taking on, offensive linemen. So he's not a great fit, which is a problem with them. It's like they decided to sign this guy. He's 220 pounds playing weight. I don't care what the site says. He's probably 218, gun to my head. So yeah, it's a problem. He's too light. He's too light for the system. I don't understand it. So instead of like playing the middle, maybe he plays a more like outside linebacker type deal, more East and West next year. And really, even realistically, like last year, I think he was a little bit overrated, right? We said, I know Sabo was on it. I know I was on it. Like, damn, man, $15 million a year for this guy is quite a bit of money. So I thought he was okay last year, but I never thought he was great. Like, to see him get one of the higher contracts for linebackers, I was like, that's pretty surprising based on what he is, So, Darlene, what is up, Darlene? Babyface. I wish Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State, wasn't going in the top 10. I would have loved to have him with our second first round pick. Again, I haven't watched him. I'm not a college football guy really at all. Now I am. Like, listen, Indiana's on or Alabama's on. Like, I'll try to watch it. Even though I'm going to go and watch the film 2 days later anyway. But yeah, like, if an elite defensive player falls to you, with the second pick, which realistically, like, could he fall to 15? You never know. What happens if he sucks in the interviews or he's an injury that nobody knows about? Like, it's possible. I don't think he'll fall past the top 10. I would definitely lean towards offense, but I'm not going to pass on an elite defensive player if they fall to you. I prefer to invest premium capital into the offense, though, no doubt. But, you know, the Colts pick maybe like 14, 15. I think if they don't make the playoffs, they're about their 7 teams, so you're automatically guaranteed a top 18 pick. I know their schedules are rough coming up, so the Colts may finish. I believe they're 8 wins now. They may finish 8-9, and now they're bringing in Phillip Rivers, who hasn't played in football in 5 years. I don't think they win a game, and it's not like they're playing bad teams. I think they play like the Jags, the Texans, like they're playing some good teams coming up. So I think they're going to finish with a top 5 pick and a top 15 pick behind it. Jesse P, is there a possibility that Moore enters the draft and gets drafted before Mendoza does? Still not convinced Mendoza. Many teams may be feeling the same. Yeah, I think it's 100% possible. 100% possible. There's so much more to go in the draft process, and I don't think there's going to be this drastic of a fall off. But remember who was the second best quarterback at this time last year? This time last year, it was all Shadur and Ward. Now, obviously, Shadur tanked some interviews and stuff, and that's why he fell so far and other stuff. But it's not like there's a drop from Mendoza from first round to 5th round or anything like that, or he was 5th round, right? With Shadur. But yeah, I think it's a possibility. I think Moore is almost a nice midpoint between Simpson and Mendoza. Like, I don't think he has the ceiling of Simpson, but he doesn't have the floor of Simpson. He doesn't have the high floor of Mendoza, but doesn't have like the low floor of Simpson. Does that make sense? He's kind of the safer prospect. He doesn't make as many wow plays. I think he's more quick than fast. Like, he's quick twitch, but not very fast. I think his deep ball is probably the best in the class in terms of accuracy and placement. His arm is decent to solid, but definitely not Simpson's level. He's more safe, but there's not as many like wow anticipation throws. And then the one thing that worries me a little bit with him is his short accuracy can really waver at times where he's not consistent. So yeah, I think there's a possibility. I literally just said it the other day that I before these games this weekend, and you know, I have to like really sit down and think about my ranking still. But before this weekend, I had Simpson 1, Moore 2, and Mendoza 3. After watching that Purdue game, I was like, I'm not impressed. But obviously, this last game was very good for Mendoza, and there's something to be said about like him in big situations and like stepping up in the pocket and taking hits, etc. So, thank you, Joe. You know ball. Are you just saying that 'cause you're a Simpson fan, though? I wonder if were you under a different account, or did you just pop in like recently or something? Because I haven't seen Tank for Ty last year, but I wonder if you just changed your name. He's carrying the entire Alabama offense this year. O-line is a part of the receivers. The receivers are dropping, like, considering who they have and the names you hear, they drop so many balls. And then the receiver stops running a route when he's the second read. Like, how do you just stop running a route? So yeah, no, his receivers aren't helping. The O-line is not helping him. And like, yeah, some of it's his fault. Again, his biggest thing is being more confident versus pressure, and take the first read when it's open. Do not keep going for more. If that can get coached out of him, if you could tell me right now that I think the accuracy, I think with more consistent play around him, I think the accuracy I think he won't rush as much, and I think the accuracy will be better. I don't think it's ever going to be great, but I think it could be solid. But if you could tell me right now that I don't love the size though either, but past the size, if you could tell me, hey, he's going to be more consistent with just taking the first read when it's open, I would be very confident as a player, you know? So, yeah, I'm not out on Simpson. It's just whatever. How do you feel about the love for Mendoza has gotten as of recently? I've already hit on this plenty, Blewett piece. So if you want me to hit this again, sure I will, but I think I kind of hit it, or I definitely hit it, right? Gregory, greetings, Jets Nation. The Jets got snappy out of them. The Jets were exposed against the Dolphins last week, against the Dolphins last Sunday. You're saying Dolphins a lot. I would keep Jamie and Sherwood, but he is light to play middle linebacker. I like all-American linebacker, Sony Styles, star receiver Denzel Boston, and nose tackle Caleb Banks. Dolphins bulldoze the Jets defense. Yeah, you might have to keep Sherwood because of the price tag. If you can cut him cleanly, like $15 million, yes or no for Sherwood, I'm definitely saying no, but I think you eat like $10 million minimum. I forget exactly what it is, but you eat a lot of the contract if you cut him, so it's going to be hard to. Yes, like to play linebacker. Sony Styles, yeah, I've heard about him. I've heard about Boston, the bigger receiver, right? Caleb Banks. I've heard all these guys. We'll see. I'm not going to try to hit on too many guys like that. Am I the only one who found the tired injury odd? Nobody saw what happened. Yeah, I didn't see it either. That's the problem with being 37 years old and having as many injuries as he does. It could be the littlest thing. Listen, dude, realistically, I don't know how. I think you're older, David. I don't think you're young. Maybe you are. When you get, obviously athletes take care of their bodies and stuff every day, but dudes sneeze and throw out their backs, so throwing the ball, throwing the ball, he could have tweaked something or the groin really easily, overextending the leg. It's not always going to be like the Zach Ertz injury where it's very evident. You get older and sometimes you pull shit, especially when you have a ton of injuries and you're working through injuries, your body's overcompensating for things. It happens, it happens. You see the Mendoza interview after the game? Yeah, I saw a piece of it, which I don't know how to feel about it. The quirkiness, I wonder if I don't know. We'll see. I think it could be a thing where he's so into football that guys love him, but I can also see him being guys he's a little weird. Regardless, who cares? If he wins games, people will love him. If he loses game, people will hate him, right? Now, being realistic, and I'm not even trying. I'm not Bill Belichick. I'm not Coach A. I'm not even Coach Vass. Nothing like that. I know a decent amount. The interview where he was talking about coverages and what he was reading and stuff, I think people overrate that because people are oh my God, I have no idea what he's saying. For people who watch and know and go to clinics, everything he's saying made sense. And it wasn't something where so there's sometimes I see Coach A tweet stuff. I'm holy shit, dude. This guy, some of the stuff he knows is ridiculous. That interview, people are this is why to be successful. What he was saying was pretty basic football stuff. I know you're talking about the interview post game. I'm talking about the interview where he was talking about whatever coverages or whatever he was reading on that play. It wasn't something where I listened to it. I'm oh my God, what is he even talking about? He's so smart. I was okay, this is pretty generic football stuff that he's just throwing terminology that generally people don't know, but it wasn't something where I was wow, what is he talking about? I'm just being honest. So I think people don't know a lot of terminology. We're holy shit, but that's not something where I was wow. I think every single quarterback who was worth their salt could talk exactly like he did in that situation. If they can't, you probably shouldn't draft them. I'm just being 100% honest. It wasn't something where I watched. I was wow. So, if the price to trade up to one is too high from RJ or Las Vegas ends with the pick, are you good going with linebacker or receiver linebacker in the first and Simpson with our second round pick? Is it even realistic or is Simpson a first? Yeah, Simpson's a first round quarterback. Now, if he has another 3-4 bad games, maybe not, but I think he's a first round quarterback. And again, he's probably still my one or right there. I think there's not much of a gap between all of these guys at times. So yeah, I still think he's a first round quarterback. Would I be okay? Are you good with going receiver? Are you talking about if we don't get a quarterback, receiver, linebacker in the first? Yeah, because there's so many variables, right? I don't want to pigeonhole myself because if I say, oh, no to linebacker, right? Because I want to go offense. What happens if they sign John Simpson and Linderbaum? They draft the receiver, they sign a tight end too, and they don't really have a lot of needs on offense, right? If they bring in Simpson back, Linderbaum, offense line set. They bring in tight end 2, tight end set. You bring in receiver 2 in the draft, receiver set. Let's say they re-sign Brees. So yeah, is it possible that a linebacker, the second pick, I wouldn't be mad about? Sure. I think it's one of their biggest needs right now, right? It's safety, linebacker, their biggest needs, and then D-tackle, D-end are behind that for me. So I couldn't be mad at it. Sony Styles, whoever, somebody there. Yeah, I think it's fine. My only concern with that is, and it's early again, so guys can rise, guys can fall, whatever it may be. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of second round quarterbacks. It seems like it's the top 3 and then guys in the 4th, 5th round, maybe 3rd round, 4th round. So I don't there's not that second round quarterback who I see right now who's worth taking there. Again, strictly based on other people's opinions, which I never do, but that's all I could base it on because I'm not watching every single quarterback. I do the website. I do the Jet stuff. I have a full-time job. I have a kid. There's no way I can watch all that stuff. I don't have that much time, being realistic. So I don't know, but based on what others are saying, it doesn't seem like there's a second, maybe even a third round guy. So if you don't get a guy in the first round, what the hell are they doing at quarterback? Yeah, what are they doing, man? Because then what happens next year? You get 5-6 wins again, and at that point, does Glenn even retain the job? You know, like they might have to force it because they need to hold on to their jobs because they win 5-6 games next year. And then new coach coming in, you know, if he were to come in, would he obviously be pissed, you know, 2 years with under 10 wins combined? You have for the new coach, $100+ million in cap space and 3 first-round draft picks and a stacked draft class next in 2027. Seems like a good selling point for that coach to come in. So they may have to force a quarterback, which is not great, but here we are. Atrocious throw. Yeah, the underthrow. That was, 15 yards short? So, you know, Purdue has 2 wins all season. Yeah. 4-13, 7th pick. No, it's not going to be that bad, David. But yeah, I even right now, like 7th pick with 3 wins, is like, come on, man. That's a crappy play by Mendoza, but the media won't tell you that. He might be the most overrated prospect I've seen in the last few years. I think everybody gets elevated. You know, that the guy every year kind of gets elevated or over elevated. But yeah, like there's a lot of games I watch. I'm like, okay, a few good plays, but I'm not like, holy shit, this guy is going to be a top 10 quarterback. It's a lot of like taking what's given to him, accuracy, like processing. Yeah, fine. But then I see plays like that, and I'm like, okay, you know, the fade balls are consistently to the inside shoulder, need to be outside shoulder. He can lock onto reads as long as he's perfect. The accuracy is very good, but it's not elite. There's a throw he missed in this game to the outside versus Ohio State. You know, so like he's good, but he's not an absolute slam dunk to be a very good player. Like, you know, everybody talks about, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff. If he was guaranteed that, then yeah, like maybe, but he's not. To act like that's a guarantee is also stupid, you know, because like and I don't think I would have to go back and watch Josh Rosen, but it feels like almost similar to Josh Rosen. We're like, okay, like he can move a little bit, you know, decent arm strength, really smart, and Josh Rosen sucked. So like to act like he's going to come in and just be, you know, at minimum average, to act like his floor is average is a reach. You know, so he could bust too. I think he has the lowest chance to bust, but there's a lot of games where I'm like, okay, like decent play. And then I watch like Simpson or more, and I'm like, okay, a bad play, but like a holy shit play. So, you know, college football playoffs. Yeah, I'm excited to see all that too. Prison in the moment. It is what it is, dude. It is what it is. And people are going to go back and watch the all 22. Does anybody know that receiver stopped running that route for that touchdown? No. Does anyone remember the deep out or comeback for like 20 yards that was dropped that was in the dude's hands? No. You know, and it wasn't a good game. Again, he missed 2-3 guys. You know, the pick was a very ballsy throw. It would have been an elite throw if he didn't take an extra hitch. The extra hitch killed him. So, okay. You know, but the point, the read there was fine. It's just it was a tight window. Jesse P. Mendoza didn't impress me last game either, with all those holding penalties not being called in his O-line. Yeah, it's like it was solid. Like, listen, it was Ohio State, so I can't say it was not impressive. Like, I think it was a solid game. Did I watch him like, oh my God? No. You know, but realistically, I'm going to go over, I think, 8 or 9 plays on Jake's show in about an hour from now. So if you want to watch it, go watch it. There wasn't any bad plays from him. So it's just the fact that he's pretty consistently okay to plus okay. And there's some wow plays, no doubt. There are definitely wow plays. So Simpson, yeah, no help from the running game. Definitely more erratic with accuracy over the last few weeks, but I still was, yeah, the accuracy the last few weeks was not the accuracy from the first 7 games. Again, prisoner of the moment. That's I think Ty Simpson, Tank for Ty said that. That's the phrase I was looking for. Prisoner of the moment. So yeah, the last couple games, not great, not what he was early on, but the accuracy was definitely better early in the season. Love the upside. Hope Dante comes out. He's my number 1. I understand him being your 1. He's a little bit safer than Simpson. I just don't think he has the physical upside. I think Simpson's faster. I think Simpson has a better arm than Moore, and I think he makes like more wow anticipatory tight window throws than Moore. But yeah, if Moore is your 1, I don't think you're crazy. David says there isn't much positive, but I have to respect a guy like Harrison Phillips. And Harrison Phillips is always good to throw a like or two on some of the tweets I throw about him a week too. So I appreciate that. Yeah, good leader. He's a guy who is super well put together. You would listen to him in the interviews. And like his mindset and stuff is awesome. So I think he's a great locker room guy. He's a good run stuffer. He makes some plays. And like you said, he's been playing hurt. Like there's no doubt he's been playing hurt. So, okay, Colts down bad with Phillip Rivers. Yeah, because their backup too is injured too, right? So it would have been, I forget who their two was, but it would have been Brett Ripien as their starter. So they brought in Phillip Rivers, who hasn't played in 5 years. Troy, do you believe Garrett Wilson's a number one? Yeah, he's a number one. That you can argue what is a number one. Like there's technically 32 number ones in the league, even though like, is there really? Because I'm not going to say there's 32 number one quarterbacks in the league. Like there may be 24 and 8 are elevated above where they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be backups, but the teams don't have guys. So like maybe there's, how exactly do you how exactly, what's your definition of a one kind of? He's a one though. Do I think he's top 5? No. Do I think he's top 10 sniffing it? I've always said, and I think people have not hammered maybe in the past, but I think he's more in the 10 to 20 range than he is in the top 5 range. So that's fine though. I think he's number one. I think he's a mid number one, which is great. That's great. Like he's a very good player, but he needs consistency. The drops, the sliding for catches, some of the fumbles he's had, the lack of ability to win deep. Doesn't win deep consistently. Contested catches. He's had a few like really, really good plays, and there's plays where he's not even close. So he needs more consistency, Garrett Wilson. But yeah, I think he's a one. He's a one. Tell me we're not trading up for a quarterback. I don't know, dude. It completely depends. Guy said to declare it's like January 15th, I think it is. January something is the declare date. I don't know if somebody could look that up for me, but it's something like that. So, no, I think all these guys come out. Simpson, because I think he's better than people are saying he is right now. He's 24, or going to be 24. He's right on that age. So you don't want to be coming out at 25 years old. It's a little bit old for a prospect. And then Dante Moore, like he's a top 10 pick. He's going to be making what, $10 million a year guaranteed for 4 years. That's $40 million a turn down. Okay. Let's just say, yes. Let's say he comes out, he gets $40 million over 4 years. The NIL deal he'll get is what, 5, 6, let's call it $8 million. Let's be towards the very high end, $8 million on NIL. What happens if he goes back and he sucks? It's possible, right? Obviously, Nussmeier, Klubnik, et cetera, this year. And again, knock on wood, I hope it doesn't happen. What happens if he goes back and he fractures his leg? And then he's a 6th round pick, and then he's making, what does a 6th round pick make a year? It's called $1 million, which I don't think it is. It's not even that probably. Let's call it $1 million a year. So he went to $8 million NIL, $4 million, $12 million overall, instead of guaranteed top 10 pick probably at this point, $40 million. It makes no sense for him to go back if you're top 10 pick. It makes no sense. So I think all these guys come out. Why would they go back? If you're going to be a first round quarterback, come out. Get the money. Now, in terms of like, if you're supremely confident in yourself, whatever, and you want to raise your stock, fine, for take that risk. But in terms of like setting up your life as like, if you're a financial advisor, come out. At least Isaiah Williams from David has been a good story. The Jets right now, based on DVOA, which what the hell even is that? I know there's some formula to it. The Jets are on pace right now to be the best special teams unit of not just this season, of all time. And they're still a 3-win team. Their special teams is ridiculous. And McNamara almost pinned a guy at the one, but was it Stiggers like didn't get both of his feet back in to the field of play or whatever it was, or in not to the end zone. So the special teams has been elite. McNamara, based on his position, is legitimately the best Jets player. I think Folk is probably the second best player on the team. Isaiah Williams is probably, in terms of returners, maybe the 4th. Nguanu is probably the 3rd. Like they're fighting for that. But like our top 3-4 players are special teamers. The problem with that is, and I think Banjo's been good. Typically, I believe that special teams, in terms of like replicatability isn't something you do over year. Typically, it's more up and down. So hopefully they can carry it into next year when it actually matters. But as a Jets fan, what will happen? We'll get good. Offense will be good, defense will be good, and the special teams will miss game-winning field goals. So, what is the solution when your position is don't sell the farm for a quarterback, but also don't punt the position next year because these guys could all flame out? I don't sell the farm. Like if your sell the farm scenario is the Jets are picking 7th and it's going to take 3 first-round draft picks to get up to 1 to get more, or to get Mendoza, I don't do it. And then unfortunately, you're going to have to kick the can down the road at least a little bit. But I think the solution is you get a guy in the second, third round, and then you get a bridge, and then you hope that with better coaching you can win 7-8 games. Show some growth, and then you draft the guy in 2027 when you have 3 first-round draft picks. You have to trade up a lot to get one. Hopefully they're there, then fine. But you don't just force it, in my opinion. You might have to force it a little bit, but sell the farm is the high end of force it. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's force it, like, okay, you think that a trade up for more is only really worth a 3rd round pick, but shit, there's not many other options out there. You have to trade a second. Fine. Force it a little bit. Like I'm okay with that, but sell the farm, which means to me like 2026, the second first round pick, a 2nd round pick this year and a 1st next year. No, I'm not doing that. Amir asks, should we replace some of the offensive staff? Yes. Specifically the quarterback's coach, who is a running backs coach. That's my biggest problem. I don't like a running backs coach developing a 1st-round quarterback. That is for damn sure. Tanner, fine. I think he's been okay. Offensive line's been fine. So I'm not. I don't have many thoughts about Steve Hyden in terms of like him being bad or terrible. I think he's just fine. Okay. Sean Jefferson, maybe, like with all the drops and stuff. He's the holdover. So I would say quarterback's coach, maybe receiving coach. Past that, I don't know. If we didn't have you to do the quarterback evaluations, I'd be listening to the wrong people. It is what it is, man. I don't know. I try to be fair with everything. Some of the stuff I say sometimes is not popular. I think it's very easy to just be like, go with a consensus and hype guys up or shit on guys who don't deserve to be hyped up or shit on or whatever. But I just tell you exactly what I'm thinking. If you don't like it, fine. It's more niche, but it's all based on film, So it's all based on film. And obviously, like, I did some breakdowns with like NFL guys and went to clinics and stuff. And I think I know at least a decent amount. There's definitely people like, again, Coach A, go follow him on Twitter. The guy is ridiculous. Coach Vass, listen to his podcast. You're talking about confusing. Listen to Mendoza's interview and then go listen to a Coach Vass podcast for an hour and tell me which one you're like, holy shit. And that guy was a high school coach, but my God, he's smart. So, yeah, but nonetheless, I appreciate it. Thank you. It's just people are victim of like quarterback wins and stats and stuff, but you don't evaluate the process. So like that Simpson play, oh, he overthrew the receiver. No, the receiver stopped running, but nobody's going to tell you that. Nobody's going to talk about that play. Nobody. Unless they are film guys. I think Tyrod got injured doing a handoff, no joke. I think it was after a run play that he came out. Yeah, maybe he like overextended handing the ball off. It's possible, dude. And I got lazy for a few years, like not stretching and doing whatever else. And I remember, I think it was literally the morning of my 30th birthday. I woke up and I was making coffee and I sneezed really hard. And I got a twinge in my back for like a month and a half. I had to like stretch it out and massage it and heat it and stuff. So yeah, 37 years old, a bunch of injuries. I'm not getting hit by 300-pound defensive linemen. Yeah, you can get injured handing a ball off. You can get injured sleeping the wrong way at 37. Your neck is tweaked in the wrong way. You'll be screwed for a week. Tank Retire, Joe, you're awesome because you read all the chat. I've been following you for years, but have changed my name twice. I was simply John for the longest time, then switched to Hire John Gruden, now Tank. Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. Hire John Gruden, I am not with you on there. I'm not with Gruden. He hasn't been good in 20 years, but nonetheless, yeah, I'm not definitely not for Gruden, but I'm with you mostly on Ty Simpson. That interview for Extreme Soy Energy. Listen, man, like if he's good, he's good. Kirk Cousins has his quirks about him, and other guys have plenty of guys have quirks about him. If they're good, they're good. If they suck, they suck. It's not going to really matter that much, realistically, right? Mendoza seems like a guy who would be in a book club. This is from David again. He seems to like a guys who's going to be watching film 24/7. Which, like, yeah, cool. But it's a lot different when it happens on the field. That's what I'll say. Like, Zach Wilson was a film junkie too, right? We all heard about Zach Wilson, always in, always in, always in. Bryce Hall, always in the film room, always in the film room, always in the film room. It's a lot different when it's happening on the field, you know? And I try to emphasize that in my reviews. Like, yeah, it looks simpler than it is when you're looking this high up. But even just reading play action as a linebacker is ridiculously hard. It's a lot harder than people think it is. So it's much easier in the film room to get it done than on the field when bullets are flying. So it matters to a certain extent. Thank God he's not like Kyler Murray, you know, but, you know, I don't know. You get what I'm saying? Even with Mendoza, you still probably only win 5 games. You're talking about next year? No, they win more than 5 next year. If not, everybody gets fired, right? $100 million, 120, whatever it is in cap space. You're going to use at least 80, 90 of it and a first-round quarterback and, you know, an extra first-round pick in 2 seconds. If they win 5 games next year, everybody's fired. Everybody's fired. So, hold on. My work just called me to make sure something. Okay, sorry. Overtime. Nope. I got like 3 hours of sleep. I'm terrible at sleeping when I know I have to do stuff. And today it's like, okay, 2 film shows, 2 streams. So I woke up at like, I think I fell asleep at like 9. I woke up at like 11:30. Fell asleep a little bit again. I was like, screw it. I'm going to come downstairs and start recording stuff. But life of midnights, life of shift work. But with that being said, I don't have to work until I'm 70. I work until I'm 49 and I'm done. I'm done working when I'm 49 years old, and this is be my full-time job. So then you can ask me about Sony Styles in 17 years from now, and I'll know, most likely. Right now, no. Mr. Bruno, are you too low on Drew Lohr? Let's say we don't draft a quarterback early and all. Well, he's like what I've heard from Drew Lohr, again, haven't really watched him a ton, but everything I'm hearing is like 6th, 7th round pick, if not UDFA. You know, because of the injury and stuff. So I don't think he's a solution based on what other people are saying. Subject to change though. If I was ever to watch him, like, oh yeah, I really like him, but based on the consensus, he's a late round pick, if not UDFA. So he's not the solution. There's no guarantee of anything. You know, there's no guarantee you wake up tomorrow. But most likely it will, right? In your eyes, outside of quarterback, what are your top 4 needs this offseason? And so I'm gonna answer this one way, and if you want me to adjust my answer, because I'm gonna take it my way. My way of taking this is, what do I want addressed versus individually at individual positions. What's the biggest need, right? So there's 2 different ways to take it. Like, what do I want versus what do I think is actually, like, okay, in terms of ranking, you know, your linebackers are the worst in the NFL. Okay, that means they're the ones that have to be addressed first. Kind of feel what I'm saying? So I would say interior offensive line. You know, that I'll count that as 1, but it might be 2, because if Simpson walks, AVT walks, you need 2 guys in the interior of the offensive line. So let's say 1 there for interior offensive line, receiver 2, because I'm stacking the offense for a quarterback. That's my 2. And like realistically, like, yeah, okay, I can say like tight end 2 and stuff, but I think that's being a little bit too biased towards offense. So interior offensive line 1, you don't want interior pressure with a rookie quarterback. Receiver 2, number 2. Safety 3, linebacker 4. And the only reason I'm saying safety 3 and linebacker 4 is because I legitimately don't think they have a starter. I think there's a world where Sherwood bounces back and is at least a okay below average starter, where I don't think they have a below average starter at safety right now. So interior offensive line, receiver, safety, linebacker. Yeah, that is it. What's up, Javed? Resetting his haul. Yeah, he has to wait another 4 years now, or whatever it is. 4 or 5. Does he make it though? Does he make it? Has he even got to the conference championship? Or has the farthest he's been in the divisional? I think that hurts you. Obviously, right? Like, I don't think he's ever made it to a conference championship game. I could be mistaken. I don't have the best recall of all time at times. But I don't think he made I can't remember a conference championship game with Philip Rivers in it. So does he even make it? I don't think he does. I don't want the Hall of Fame to be the Hall of very good. I think he was very good. Is he Hall of Fame worthy? In my opinion, like right off the jump, thinking about it, probably not. Now, obviously, diving into it, evaluating, maybe I'd think differently. But like, gun in my head right now, I think he's the Hall of very good. I think Eli Manning's the Hall of very good. I get the 2 Super Bowls; they're great moments, but I still think he's Hall of very good. Appreciate you, Troy. January 19th is the declare date. Okay, sweet. So we got 40 days. 40 days until we know who's coming out. And then my daughter is born in February, which, man, all this stuff on top of 2 kids, because like my wife works on a day, and you guys know I work shift work. So like I'll wake up and be taking care of a 2-year-old and a newborn and trying to get all this shit done. I'm like, God, dude. I'm having 2 and I'm out though. I'm out after 2. I will stip myself without my wife knowing. I'm not having more than 2. I'm done. If I had 2 boys, I would maybe try for a girl, but I'm done. I want to travel. I want to be able to freaking go and take a shit without having to worry about my kid jumping off a table because he's a psychopath in a great way, but a psychopath. Joe Ferraro, honestly, I wouldn't trade up this year. Too many needs. I wouldn't trade up this year, fill the holes, bolster the roster, and trade up next year, if that makes sense. You're playing a risky game, though. Because what happens if it's the same situation next year, right? Or even worse, what happens if one quarterback comes out next year and the top team needs a quarterback? What happens if there's 2 and 2 teams? What happens if your pick, because the Jets are better and they address the holes you're talking about, they're pick 15, and then they have to trade a shit ton of picks to get up? So, like, I get it, but it's risky. I agree with you. If Simpson and Moore are first-round picks, which is likely, they should come out for financial reasons. Yeah, you're setting yourself up for life. Whereas if you don't come out, you maybe have to work on an office after a few years. Arian Smith, it was. I'm not sure what this is in reference to. I don't know what I was talking about 12 minutes ago for you to say Arian Smith. Arian Smith, it was. What was I talking about with Arian Smith? Don't remember. Oh, January 15th, hard date of January 24th. Okay, so around 40 days, whatever it is. Slow runner, I think the Jets sign Mariota as their bridge and pick Simpson in the second round or late first. I don't think he's a late first or second. I think he's a top 15 pick. But a lot can change, but that's my feel right now. Second round though, my God, dude. You're talking about like fantasy land. If I can get him with pick 38 or whatever, yeah, sign me up. That'd be fantastic. You get that, a receiver, an interior offensive line, something like that. Oh my, okay. Even though I don't think there's any like projected first round centers or interior offensive linemen right now. I could be wrong. I prefer Tippmann to stay at guard because of Membu, and I think he's a little bit better at guard. But yeah. Okay, let's see. Fottenmesh. Since Glenn is the head coach, should he be not taking over play calling on one of the sides of the ball when both sides of the ball are terrible? I don't think in terms of like terrible, I don't think Glenn's going to fix much on offense. One, because he's not an offensive guy, and Tanner Angstrom has been okay, not great, not bad. It's more the quarterbacks and what he's working with. Like A.D. Mitchell and John Mechie are his number 1 and 2 receivers right now. So he's not working with a ton. So I don't think Glenn would fix that. And on defense at this point, like we're talking about, there's 4 weeks left. What's the point? Do I think he maybe should have taken over play calling earlier in the year? Yes. But at this point, it doesn't matter. Like at this point, ride it out and hire a new guy next year. Who that is, I don't know. I don't know who's out there. I know a lot of people on Twitter talk about like Jim Leonard from the Broncos, or I think is Wink Martindale at Michigan still? Somebody like that, yeah, I think Wilkes needs to be changed out, but there's 4 weeks left. What does it matter at this point? If the Titans fall in love with Fernando, would you be interested in the Jets going after? I don't like, yes, of course, because, and again, realistically, let me preface this by saying I have not watched every single Cam Ward game. So I'm starting, the foundation of this answer is built on ignorance kind of. So I don't really know. Like I've heard that, okay, he's doing better than people think he is, like statistically, because the offense is struggling, the receivers suck, whatever else. But yeah, like he's a number 1 overall pick, and I don't think he's been terrible this year. So if we can get him for whatever. What are you talking about? Like, what's the price? Yeah, of course. I think Cam Ward was a higher level prospect than Fernando Mendoza was this year, like coming out. I'm talking about coming out. I watched, I think, 5 or 6 games of Ward, and the ceiling is just very high with him too. Not as consistent as Mendoza, but I think if you put Mendoza, like his season this year, last year with Ward, he's behind Ward. And I don't think Ward's had shit enough of the season. We're going to give up on him. So I don't think they do that regardless. But yeah, of course I'd be interested. Rich DeBow, what's up, dude? I finally made one live. What's up, Joe? I'll have to go back and watch from the beginning. Yeah, no, I appreciate you, Rich. Rich is one of the biggest supporters I have, so definitely appreciate you, Rich. Jets should sign Joe Flacco as a bridge quarterback and draft Ty. Let Ty sit for 4 or 5 games. Let him. I would like something a little bit better than Joe Flacco, and like, you know, we're beggars at this point. So can we? You know, is there many better options out there? I don't know. But like, you know, a little bit younger, you know, Mariota, something like that. You know, I would prefer over Joe Flacco, but yeah, you know, listen, it's a bridge. I'm not gonna lose my shit. I'm sure you've already touched on it, but are you lower on Simpson now? I don't want to say up a ton of trade up, so hoping for a quarter. Yeah, go, Rich. This is a perfect time to rewind. If you want to stay live, obviously do, but I talked about Simpson and Mendoza and stuff for the first like hour of this podcast or stream or whatever. I hit Simpson right off the jump against Georgia, pretty much. So if you want to rewind and then jump back here, but I talked about it the first like 10 minutes or so. Jaden Maava from USC is someone I like as a late day 1 or early day 2 pick. I think he could be on an early first round pick if he stayed in school and continues to progress. Yeah, fine. I haven't watched him. I've heard the name. I've seen more 3rd, 4th round, but what the hell do I know? Nothing. So I haven't watched him, being realistic. So you could be right. I don't know. Sony Styles, if he gets to our second first, possibility. Again, do not know. Haven't watched him. Linebacker is, I think, the second biggest need on defense. That and safety are massive needs. So assuming you address a lot of things on offense and or there's not a guy there, like you don't just force offense to force offense. Again, I lean offense, but if you grab a quarterback and then all the receivers who you like go and there's no interior offensive lineman who you like, then you can't just force it. So yeah, it's possible, no doubt. I've heard that name too, though. I've seen that name come up plenty. Special teams basically won us 2 of our 3 games, arguably 3. Browns game won the game, no doubt. Browns game, Bengals. Did it win us the Bengals game? Wow, why am I forgetting the 3rd win? Browns, Bengals, and God damn, who else did they beat? I'm really forgetting right now. The Browns game definitely won them. Oh, Falcons because they returned it to like the red zone. But with that being said, if we're being fair, it also lost the Jets a game too, right? Maybe even 2. So yeah, it's definitely like a plus in terms of winning us games, but it lost us the Pittsburgh game undoubtedly. And if Isaiah Williams doesn't fumble that ball against the Dolphins, the Jets maybe win that game, potentially, probably not, because realistically, like people talk about like, oh, they didn't get blown out in that game or whatever. They were down 2 scores most of that game. They scored late to make it a 1-score game, so it looks better in the box score, but they were not really in that game for much of it anyway. So it lost them a game, probably won them 2. Right? So, of course, we have great special teams, though, and it doesn't matter. Right? Is Tanner the right coordinator to take a franchise quarterback for the Jets? My hope is to build a team in 2026 and get the quarterback in 20. Is he the right guy? I don't know. Is he the wrong guy? No. Like I'm not sure if he's the guy. I don't think he's not the guy. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't been terrible. You're working with Fields. You're working with Tyrod. You're working with Cook now. There are plays he schemes up where guys are not getting the ball thrown. They're dropping the ball. That play to Beck was really nice. And the post wheel, the pump to the flat, corner bit up, and the wheel from Beck from in motion was wide open. The Mechie touchdown against the Ravens was schemed up wide open. The Mechie play on the swing route this game was wide open from a return motion. Mechie drops it. Mechie had a drag route that was schemed open for him, dropped it against the Ravens. So, like, I think people are too black and white in general. I think you could be kind of in the middle, and I think that's fine. You don't want to be a fence sitter all the time, but when there's reason to be, fine. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's great. I think he's okay. Is that fine to say? He's also a rookie who I think will build upon it, and let's see what he has with a good quarterback. So 5 years, I don't think he made it. He made the conference championship that 1 year with a torn ACL against New England, do you think? Did he? I don't remember that. I don't know. Slow runner, which I think is Stan. I think your name is Stan, right? Do you think the Jets should move Will McDonald to linebacker and the Jets should draft a D end or sign Quinny Pay? I don't think they should play him a linebacker because he's not a linebacker. Realistically, right? Like he's a D end. He the best thing he does is rush the passer. So you're not gonna take him from rushing the passer and ask him to play off ball all the time. Then it's a completely different position. It's completely different. It's more reading, reacting stuff. Will McDonald's attack. And he's not a guy to like take on blocks. He's a guy to like slip blocks on the first level. So yeah, you don't want him as a linebacker. Rivers, you guys saw Rivers against the Pats. Okay, yeah, you guys are right in 2007. Okay, yeah, 18 years ago I was 14, so I was probably watching. Maybe I feel like at that age I was watching the Jets, but not really other football. Where like now it's like I watch other games and stuff. But I feel like maybe I was probably watching the playoffs at that point, but I don't remember that specifically. But I'm assuming, yeah, you guys are right. I'm assuming. Troy, if we're in the same boat next year, we should fire. Yeah, no doubt, Troy. If we're in the same boat, no quarterback with 3 wins, yeah. How much more attractive can it be than, hey, $100 million in cap space, 3 first-round draft picks next year? Doesn't get much more attractive than that, especially considering they addressed some of the needs this offseason. Like you're talking about a team that could take off right away. Sorry, the Arian Smith comment was just on you trying to recall the Stiggers or someone who unsuccessfully downed the ball to one. Oh, it was Arian Smith. Okay, yeah. Cam Ward is booty cheeks. I don't know about that. From some people I trust, he's been fine. It's just of the team that's playing around him. But I haven't watched, so you could be right. Screw it. Keep the picks and sign Andrew Luck. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if we got a guy like Andrew Luck and then he retired? But then again, I don't feel bad going from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck for what, 6-7 years? How long did Andrew Luck play? Andrew Luck. I'll say like 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 year he's out though, so 7, I guess technically. He was in the NFL for 7 years. Yeah, that was wild. I've never seen anything like that. Falcons. Yeah, Falcons. Hey, my bad. Yeah, Isaiah Williams with that long return. Joe, running back. I don't know what that means. RB. Joe, running back. Joe, running back, beer muscles. That's how I take that. Screw you, Danger Zone. I'm trying to say, but I think you're trying to offend me. Meatball Parm, sorry, just got on. Sorry if you already covered it, but was it a scheme issue or was it just the Jets getting overpowered on defense in the run game? That was ugly. Defensive linebackers were pushed back. It's scheme and some of the fact that like it's mostly scheme. It was mostly scheme. How they attacked, there was a lot of like chips in the first level getting up to the linebackers, really emphasizing the linebackers making plays in the run game. Wasn't there. Horrific tackling. And then if you don't watch the full reviews because they're paid for, you don't care, fine. Go watch there's going to be like a 9-10 minute review this week with like 6-7 defensive plays of why Steve Wilkes needs to be fired and how he's putting these guys out of position. Just like the play to Waddle, that second touchdown, Waddle's on a drag route from the backside. It's 3-by-1. Waddle's not a guy to win fade balls, so it's not like him isolated on the backside of a 3-by-1. If it was Mike Evans, T. Higgins, yeah, fine. You're probably throwing a fade to them and you'll be confident versus Stevens. He's not that guy. So most likely in that scenario, based on his split, based on who he is as a receiver, he's probably going to be the backside read of a 3-by-1, meaning he's going to cross the field. You undoubtedly have to play that inside heavy leverage and press the shit out of him. And if he's going to cut to the inside, he's cutting through a body. You cannot play off and let Jalen Waddle cut across your face on a drag route in the red zone. And I'm not saying that Monday morning quarterbacking. I'm saying that as just watching and knowing tendencies of offenses. You cannot play that high like he did. It just, so like corners coach, are they telling Stevens that? Is it will, like, it just little stuff like that. And then just them biting ridiculously hard on play action. Isaiah Oliver was dreadful in this game as a safety. So, some of it's talent, some of it's scheme. There's so many plays. There's so many plays I could think of. Like there's like a 3rd and 4, where of course the Jets play man coverage on 3rd down, and they're pressing on 3rd and 4, and they run a rub route, and the flat's wide open. Why? Because the Jets didn't have a banjo call, one, which is like first in, first out. It's to thwart guys, switching leverages and stuff quickly. So they didn't have a banjo call. And on top of that, if you're not going to have a banjo call, one of the things you absolutely do not want to do when the receivers are tied up together in man coverage, especially in short yardage situations, is play at the similar level, because similar level, you're going to hit each other. You play at different levels, you're not going to hit each other. So they run into each other. Jalen Waddle, easy first down. So a lot of it's scheme, a lot of it's talent. It was a mixture. It was a shit show. It doesn't get that bad unless it's both. Against Miami, it looked like a lot of the drops were because Cook threw it a little outside the receiver's range and often rifled it too. Were a lot of those on Cook? Some of them were, like, no doubt. Some of them, like, again, the full reviews and have it all in there. Some of them were behind. Some of them were rifled. Some of them were from lack of adjustments. AD Mitchell, 2 bad plays in terms of adjustments. Like the one drag, he's checking the flat, and the ball is rifled in there, but AD Mitchell makes a terrible adjustment to it. And there's another play. I don't know if it was a crossing route from the backside or whatever it was, but AD Mitchell's near the sideline, and he almost runs out of bounds. And even if he caught the ball, it would have been illegal touching. He should have cut it short by 2 yards, and then Cook puts behind him. But that's more on AD Mitchell, like not having spatial awareness. So some of it's on Cook, no doubt. Some of it's on the receivers. Will the Jets have an interception this season? I'm almost rooting for it not to happen at this point, David. I really am. Probably not. I don't know. Probably not. Which I think the all-time record's like 2 or 3 in terms of lowest. So I'm almost rooting for the Jets to have no interceptions and have the lowest turnovers in history. Just so they have to fire Wilkes, right? Is it just my impression, or can Quincy Williams not with consistency? There's some times where he like thumps guys, but not with consistency, that's for sure. Do you think Will McDonald from Danger Zone is a candidate to be packaged in with a trade up the draft as opposed to burning a second? Would you rather? I'm indifferent on keeping him or paying him. Depends on obviously the price, but I don't think he fits the system very well. Like they definitely, Glenn has always had like bigger linebackers, so I don't think he fits the system great. And he's very hot and cold, so I'm not attached to him. If you're telling me that a team is saying, hey, trade us the first and a second to move up, or first, or it's like a first and Will McDonald or whatever. Yeah, I'm not indifferent, or I'm more indifferent to it. Like, yeah, sure, trade him. For a second round pick, would I get rid of him? Yeah, I think so. Just because the system doesn't fit and he's too inconsistent. But what free agents am I interested in? It's outside of Linderbaum. I don't know. I honestly, Seth, I don't really know even who's available, because like right now it's kind of pointless to look at it, because every single year, I've been podcasting for quite a few years now, every year it's, oh, this guy's available, this guy, and we talk about him for months, and then 8 out of the 10 guys are signed that we're talking about. So I don't really know. Like even Linderbaum, but if gun to my head right now, is he going to even be available? Probably not. But could be wrong, obviously. Joe, running back. Oh, you're talking about the sign behind me? There. Is that what you're saying that? Or it's Joe RB31. Okay, I'm an idiot. Danger Zone again. I said before, like 2.5 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep. So yes, Joe RB31. That's actually not what it is. It's Joe, and it's my initials. R is my middle initial, and then B is my last name. But I will not tell you what my middle name is. You'll never know. Could be. Can you imagine if it was Richard? Can you imagine if my middle name was Richard and my parents named me Joe Dick Blewett? Not Richard, I'll give you that. Just to save myself and my parents from embarrassment. Which even my last name too, like, I don't know, maybe they spoke a different language. I think it's like a Frenchish name, but like, how did they not think of that? Like they're all sitting at a table, hammered, like picking names, and it's like, oh, let's screw over future generations of people. A bit Joe Light, Cup, AirPods, Remote, Roadcaster, anything else than Blewett. Not anything else, but it's quite a few. Neil from Cali, late to live stream here. That was a rough game to watch. Yeah. We recapped it quite a bit here. Part of it's bad luck of them not having an interception, but how do you not even luck into a tipped one? Yeah, like the one from Malachi Moore this week into a tip one. We also, drop a ball right. Now that ball did get tipped, so like he's anticipating it being high, and then it gets tipped, so it's at a different trajectory. So it's a little bit easier said than done in that situation, but still, pick off that ball. Now the one that Malik Walker, whatever his name is, Walker jumped. It was contested with the running back. Like they both got their hands on it. So I think people are kind of overrating that. Like, oh, he dropped a wide open pick. The running back got his hands on it. So it's not an easy pick. But part of the problem is, in terms of getting picked, like, yes, some of it's lucky, but some of it's also being tight in coverage. And the Jets have blown so many coverages that you can't get a pick when a guy's running 15 yards wide open too. So great. Yeah, dude, it is what it is. You sink or swim. Like I realized that I was born with chicken legs, a big ass head. And my last name is Blewett. So you sink or swim quickly, especially with an older sister and your last name is Blewett. So yeah, I think I swam, but maybe I'm sinking and I'm just ignorant to it. Not a good showing from the Jets. Losing to the Fish pissed me off. This team is going to take a very long time to fix this team. This is like an anger you can tell because he's saying, like, I get it, it's this team. But no, nonetheless, thankfully the Colts gave the Jets a chance. Yeah, that Colt, like, I don't know if they cursed Sauce Gardner and he just went to that franchise and ruined it. But if I was a Colts fan, like, would I like that trade? 2 first-round draft picks and a second-round receiver who showed potential for Sauce on a team who's going for it all with Daniel Jones. Like, I don't think that was a good trade by them in terms of like their long-term building. Now they're going to suck. And Daniel Jones, tore his Achilles or whatever. I think he tore his Achilles, right? So he's not going to be healthy next year anyway. So like, your next 2 first-round draft picks, you're talking about 2 probably top 15-ish picks for a corner who, when you don't have a quarterback, doesn't matter. So, yeah, hey, thank you, Colts. You in the fantasy playoffs. Yeah, I'm in 4 out of 5 leagues. 4 out of 5. I need to drop a 1 or 2, but like, the problem is like one workstation. They asked me, I went in, new guy, wanted to be part of the dudes. Same thing with another one, and then like 2 friend leagues and 1 Jet X league with the writers and stuff. So I'm in 4 out of 5, and I lost the 1 seed in the other one, so I don't have a bye week, which I'm pissed about, but it is what it is. So yeah, 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5. My 1 league though, I'm hoping for the dynasty. I squeaked in again, but then this is stupid, but we do it every year. I have, where is it? A rank from 21, 22, 23. No, it's 24, 23, and 21. So I won 3 of the last 4 years in that league. So if I can make 4 out of 5, that's what I'm hoping for. But we'll see. I'm in the playoffs, Jacoby Brissett as my, which isn't terrible because he gets so many like garbage time yards. But okay, nonetheless, I got to go jump on Jake's stream in about 10 minutes. So if you want to see some Mendoza breakdown of him versus Ohio State, jump on there or just listen to his bullshit. Awesome. Jarby31 on Twitter. Post plenty of plays there of quarterbacks. I've posted a lot of plays weeks ago of Mendoza, Simpson, Moore. Plenty of shit coming in the offseason, as you guys know. So follow me all those places, and I will catch you guys.